Hello, hello, hello. Oh, today is going to be a total experiment. Something I've never done before. Quite anyway. Not terribly different, but a little different. How different? Some different. Anyway, I could talk about different, various adverbs in front of it all day long. What are those adjectives? I don't know. Nobody really cares. I certainly don't. Somebody might care, but it's not me that cares. I don't know how to find the person that cares because there's no one here to ask if they care. Do you care? Probably not. If you're watching this replay later, you can decide for yourself if you care. I don't even remember what we're talking about anymore. Okay, so today I'm going to play around with just some of my pen and ink collection. Really a relaxed stream, no particular goal in mind, content or anything, just messing around with my microscope and my pens and ink. I kind of have it in mind to try to write smaller than I ever have before. I generally write pretty small. My handwriting's pretty small as it is compared to most people, I guess. And only once that I can remember, way back in high school, I tried to write as small as I could. I wish I had that sample with me. I could go dig it up. But I don't know. I haven't looked at it to see what's written on it to know whether I'd want to share it on stream or not. So anyway, maybe I'll do that. Look at that some other time. And then also it'd be fun to see if I can write as small as that, and yeah, just compare the size of what I do now with what I'm doing or what I did back in high school. I'm kind of guessing I'll have a pretty hard time matching that size that I did a long time ago because I'm getting kind of old. My eyesight's not as good. However, I have a few tricks up my sleeve today that I would not have had way back then. I don't remember if I even used a magnifying glass. I think I used a magnifying glass when I was reading it, but not when I was writing it. So I'm super nearsighted naturally, so I can my face right in front of something and be able to read it. But I'm wearing contacts normally, so that kind of reverses all that. So I can't write like that anymore, like with something right in front of my face unless I take my contacts out. But this whole scenario with my digital microscope will change everything. But it might actually be really difficult. Let's see, I'm going to rotate this so I can write at a more natural angle here. So yeah, each one of these squares that you see is half a centimeter, so 5 millimeters. So 2 of these grid squares are a centimeter. So what you see in the screen now is about a square centimeter. I decided not to zoom in too much. I could go a lot closer with my microscope, but it would just be hard to see. And I'd have to move it all the time because I'm going to try to keep what I'm writing in frame. So what's different this time is I can write by looking at the screen instead of looking at the paper. Basically see what you guys are seeing. And this is going to be totally weird because I've never written by not looking at where I'm writing as far as I can remember. So my hand-eye coordination may or may not cooperate with this scenario, but I thought it would be a fun experiment. So, and I chose, rather than just writing random stuff, which I often have a hard time thinking of what to write, I'm just going to write a passage from the Bible, which I like to write the Bible out in my journal anyway. Plus, I've been wanting to do that on stream. However, I wanted to do it like writing in my journal, but, well, is there anything keeping me from doing that? Yeah, I guess in this case, I would normally do it in my journal, but, or I guess, I don't know if you call it a journal. So basically, just a little backtrack a bit. I've been wanting to handwrite the entire Bible out, not necessarily from start to finish, just kind of in whatever order I decide. So I started earlier this year with the book of John, and I'm only on chapter 8. Like, it's going really slow, and I'm not very dedicated to the task, but I thought if I started streaming it, that might kind of motivate me a little bit more. But I also do it when I'm out and about, randomly, a few verses here and there. Anyway, so I actually have a special book that I'm writing out the scriptures or whatever. It's separate from my daily journal that I write in. Well, I don't write in my journal daily, but yeah, anyway. So it's a separate book that I'm writing in, but I want to do this differently today because I want to just experiment, and I don't necessarily want to experiment in the book that I'm writing things out more formally. But I might get back to writing in the book eventually. But today I'm just going to write on this paper because it's a total experiment, and I'm not doing John today. I'm going to be writing from Ephesians, so that's also different. So yeah, anyway, this is going to be weird. I don't know if I can even do this without getting a headache or going a little insane or something. So I'm looking at the screen instead of down in my hand. I'm tempted to look down, but I think I'm going to try looking at the screen. It's so weird. Like, look at how big that is. Oh, man. Okay, so I'm going to start out not writing very small. Maybe a little bit smaller than what I would normally write, but not too much. I could go get my Bible book that I'm writing out just to give it a comparison, just for my own sake also. That's weird how sloppy that looks. Like, just, yeah, anyway. This is going to be sloppy. Maybe I'll look down. No, I have to look up because I want to make sure I'm following it on the microscope too. I should put a little... wish I could put a crosshairs on my little place where I'm writing so I know where the camera is showing, but this is going to be hard. Just say that right now. Okay, I'm going to just write fairly large. Wow, that is really bright too. I'm just going to go really slow. Wow, you can see like every little pool of ink. That's crazy. I don't see that when I'm looking down at the paper, but it really stands out. Hard to keep it in frame because even just writing one word, it's bigger than the frame. Okay, so this, I'm actually not writing much smaller than I normally write when I'm writing the Bible down. Just a little bit. Oh man, it's so hard to look at the screen instead of the paper. I don't think I can do it. So to start out, I'm not going to try any super micro as small as I can writing by any means. I'm just going to write a little bit smaller than normal. I think my goal is just to get to 2 lines of text per half a centimeter of these grid lines, so 2 per grid line. What? Really? Interesting. I put a paragraph after that first verse. That's interesting. So, in case you guys didn't know, most people probably know this if they kind of are students of the Bible or go to church or been to some kind of Sunday school or something. Maybe you've heard this before, but the Bible is not written in paragraphs. I don't know it very well. Like, I'm not a scholar by any means. But I've been told many times that there's no paragraphs typically in the Bible anyway. And so if there's like paragraph breaks, they're usually added by editors later. But anyway, it's interesting that in this version of the Bible, they put a paragraph break there. Just one verse. So I think what I'm going to do, if I remember, I think I'm going to get really distracted and probably make a million weird mistakes or something, but I think I'm going to change pens each time randomly, so it'll be different colors and stuff, except that I'll make the verse numbers in the same red there. Turn the music up a bit because I don't think I'll talk a whole lot, otherwise I'll distract myself and mess up a million times. Oh shoot, like I just did. What? Wow, what a weird verse break. Wait a minute, that can't be right. No, that's not right. Okay, I'm very confused, obviously. I'm just gonna cross that out. When I was originally thinking of this Bible project, like writing out the whole Bible by hand, I was sort of trying to decide what I do if I make mistakes. Am I going to like throw away that page and start over, or just cross it out and keep going? I used to think, because since I am a bookbinder, I bind the pages together. I could write it out on individual pages and then bind them together. And I was thinking a lot about that, and that delayed my starting a long time because I couldn't figure out a format and all that kind of thing. But I pretty much decided that I'll just cross out mistakes. This isn't the official one anyway, it's just playing around, but that's kind of what I decided because it's just too hard to not make mistakes. But like the original scribes would have probably thrown it away and started over. This pen is not working very good, so I'm not sure what to do about that. This scrap piece of paper, I can get it going again. I already made a mistake because I switched colors when it wasn't a verse switch. The Bible that I'm using has all these numbers and letters for footnotes and stuff, and I saw a 2 there and I'm like, oh, it's the next verse, but super annoying. Don't like all those numbers and things. Oh well. it's just practice. Really just wanted to play around with ink, and maybe a little bit later I might try to write smaller than this. Man, I can't even find out where to start here. Right there. Okay, so now I'm finally at verse 2. Legit. So much longer to write this way. It's crazy how sloppy each word looks too. When you look at it close like this. Interestingly enough, this is not too different than what my grandpa did. He was a pastor and he was legally blind, and he had to use something very much like this. It's like a big machine, a microscope type thing, magnifier that was hooked up to his TV just to read in his later years. Like each letter was way bigger than this. Each letter was like larger than the screen. He had to, it was crazy. But he did it. He was that dedicated to studying that he still continued to do it. Alright, so that is the end of verse 2. So there's a paragraph break here. So if you can't tell already, I like pens and ink, and I collect pens. I haven't bought any for a while because I have too many. I have more than I can use before they'll dry out probably, so I'm trying to just be happy with what I have at this point, but I do occasionally get tempted and buy new ones, even though I have more than I can possibly use already, but I have a lot of pens. So far, the ones I've been using are all Uniball Signo or Sino. I don't know how to say the word, even though it's one of my favorite pens. Signo. Looks like Sino in English, but it might be Signo. I don't know. Could be either one. Like signature or like sign with the O on it. I don't know. Anyway. They're the Japanese kind, though. They're not kind that you can get here in the States, except a few special shops have them. This particular one is 0.38. A fairly fine tip. Very easy for me to write at this size. Not that much smaller than I normally write. Not really challenging myself at this point to write small. That's a weird verse break. This particular pen is known to be a troublemaker, so we'll see how it goes. Next is skip. I don't know if I can bear to write this entire verse in this color. I want to see if I can go any higher. I think that might be possibly as big as I can go. Sure. Basically. I guess I need to buy a couple more lenses for my microscope. One that's not as high powered and one that's more a higher power. Kind of curious to see like just a common object like a coin, for example. See how much would fit on the screen. So this is like a nib for a pen. Oh, it's huge. This is as small as I can make it. Oh man. Where are my tweezers? Okay. Is that right? Doesn't seem right. That's just as small as I can make it. It's crazy. How big can I make it? Pretty nice writing for that size. Pretty good engraving quality there. Anyway, yeah, that's crazy. That is as small as I can make it. And if I go up where I had it a minute ago, it seems crazy. That's as small as I can, or as big as I can make it look. No, wait, that is so reverse. That's like the hardest thing to describe in the universe. That's as zoomed out as I can go. That's the best. That's the better way to say it. So there's no way I could fit a coin on this. This lens that I have on here, I think it's like a 300 times lens, but I should get like a much less zoomed out. Let me see what a coin looks like. Curious. not a coin collector at all. I have a friend who is, but I'm just curious to see how big these look. Okay, so I can almost fit a whole coin on there. That's a penny. It's weird how the color doesn't really show up very much. It almost looks like chrome, or just, you know, not copper. Just the exposure on the microscope camera. I can generally change it a little bit, but it's kind of annoying to do. Let me see if I can do that a little bit though. I see. So I have auto white balance on, and I think it's trying to adjust. So it's like overcompensating by making the copper color like almost grayscale. Unfortunately, I don't like how this camera adjusts. I guess it's just the driver that comes with it or something. But you either have the white balance on full auto, which does a pretty good job most of the time, but if you don't like it and you want to put it on manual, it only has like 5 positions on the slider that it locks to. It's really stupid. I don't like it at all. So you can't get like a really fine controlled white balance, which I don't like. Looks really good though, like just the clarity of the image is really nice. You know what I should look into getting is some kind of platform that has a motor on it or something that can go side to side, up and down. I'm sure they make something like that. And I wouldn't have to like move things around. I wouldn't have to move the paper when I'm writing on it. I wouldn't have to move the coin, for example. I'm sure they make something like that. Nothing else, you could probably make something DIY like that with the kind of robotic thing. Man, that looks really cool though. I like how clear that is. This coin's pretty roughed up. Can't see very many details anymore. Alright, that's enough of that. Although, I'm going to do one more thing with, well, since I have these here. This penny is really new, so let me put that in frame again. And I want to see what it looks like if I go as close as I can go. Let's see. Maybe right around there. So that shows kind of the zoom range capabilities of this particular lens I have on my microscope, but I can buy different lenses. It's kind of like a SLR in a way, or a mirrorless camera. You can attach different lenses to it. That's weird. Like, the edges of those letters almost look fuzzy. Like, it's a really clear image, but it's like they have like little fur on them or something on the edges. That's what it looks like to me. Strange. Looks cool though. Alright, that's enough of the coins. That's not really what this stream is about. I just kind of wanted to see what they look like. I haven't actually looked at coins under this microscope yet. Alright. Back to writing. Yeah, that motorized base, or even if it's not motorized, if it just slid smoothly, that would be pretty nice. I'm sure there's a product like that out there. It might be super expensive though, so might not be my kind of thing. I guess I could probably make something like that though. I've seen little, I don't know what to call them. They're like rollers. They look like, almost like the bottom of an old mouse with the ball on it. And you could put just a flat plate of metal or wood or something on top of those, like have several of those turned upright and put like a plate on top of that, just roll it around smoothly. That might, I don't know if that would be any better than what I have though. I think what would actually be better is I think a motorized one would be better because you could push it side to side perfectly, because this is kind of challenging to like move it sideways. I tend to, you know, go in odd directions. But if it was motorized, it could just go like perfectly straight. That'd be cool. Anyway. Do not like this pen at all. It's the, I don't know what to call it. There's probably a word for it.
shadows of the dark.
It's like opaque, so I think you can write on dark surfaces and light surfaces, but for some reason the ink in it really skips. Speaking of skip, I might have to skip this pen because it's just too annoying. I'll try to use a color that's similar though. See, I'm writing a little bit smaller. Not too much, just a little bit. Because this pen is pretty fine. It's writing nicely, much better than that last one, that's for sure. Not a new verse. It's a new line, but not a new verse. New verse. ones are pretty old. But generally, the finer tip you have, the less likely it is to write smoothly. Here's another pen that was kind of notorious for not working super well. Let's see how it goes. Actually, this might not be the one I'm thinking of. Really wish OBS Studio had better color correction options. It's pretty annoying to try to correct this camera. Like, it looks completely golden yellow on the screen, but it's totally orange in reality. And that 10, verse 10 should be quite red and looks kind of orange rusty or something. But yeah, it's super difficult to correct the colors exactly, especially on the microscope, because it as you zoom in or out or change the focus and all that, or just change the position of your light, it completely changes the colors. So yeah, it's difficult. It's not terribly off though. It's actually not too bad. Man, I don't know who chose these verse breaks, but it doesn't make any sense. Not in English anyway. In him, next verse. It's terrible. It should be on the earth. 11, in him, not in him. 11, it just doesn't make any sense, but whatever. let's do a little bit of challenge here. See if I can fit accordion here. That'd be hard. Won't be able to read it. The challenge is because the pen is fat, honestly. am gradually getting smaller, generally speaking, but when I have one of these thicker ink or thicker nib tip pens, whatever, then it just kind of bumps back up again. So here's some small writing that I was doing earlier. I'm almost that small with what I'm doing now. Probably that blue one or that teal one is one of the smaller ones. But I'm really just limited by the size of the nib or the tip. Let's see. I got six lines in one of these boxes, you know, and I could do more. It's just that these pens are too fat. I think that one was, I was using like a dip pen with ink. I don't remember. Oh, that's right. Now I remember why I had the microscope down lower, because it's like right in front of my face. Oh well. Wasn't paying attention. I mean, not that it matters if something's from my face, kind of a blessing in disguise. Okay, 13. Pen is really old. Still works, but for the writing small like this, it's kind of a stretch of its ability. I've come to the end of this pen right here. It's like not writing anymore. Check the tube inside of it. It's like almost empty. Oh wow, that's crazy. No wonder it's not working. Almost completely empty. Probably about time to retire that one. One thing I'm a little bit curious about is to test how accurate the measurements are on things. Let's see. Where are we at? There we are. Of course, the pen doesn't work when I need it to. Doesn't work at all. It's awesome. Working fine until I need it to work. Interesting. Okay. There's a good line. So I just want to measure this. So it says it's 0.38 millimeters. Don't know where my rulers are all of a sudden. They don't exist. It's awesome. I don't know how they measure those. That's weird. I guess it's probably fairly accurate, more or less. So I can fit approximately 3 in a millimeter. So I guess it's pretty close. So I have a couple pens that are a little bit smaller than that. Pens don't really get much smaller than that though. You go much smaller than that and it just doesn't write anymore. This one's 0.28 instead of 0.38. It definitely looks thinner. Okay. That looks like a lot thinner, honestly. feel like it's even less than 0.28, just slightly. Might be about 0.25 or a little bit even less possibly, but I guess 0.28 is a fair measurement of that. So the finest point that I'm aware of that was ever made is a 0.18. It's by the same company, Uniball, but they don't make them anymore. They discontinued them because they had a lot of flow problems. The problem was flow. Me didn't have one, so they had to discontinue them just to frustrate me. Anyway, I just recently learned about that because I was kind of curious about this, the smallest writing kind of thing, and looked it up, and that's probably the finest point pen. There might be others that are like that or smaller, but that's the most mainstream small one, I guess. And they don't make it anymore, and they're really hard to find. You have to find them used, like on eBay or something, way overpriced. Look at how much that spreads. It's kind of cool looking. It's not a desirable effect with pens, though. You really don't want it to spread like that. It looks cool, but makes your writing look sloppy. Especially if you're trying to use the pen to draw or something. No good. But a lot of that has to do with the paper that you use. This would be a great test for pen company like Jet Pens to do under the microscope. I wish I had some Tomo paper. I don't know how to say that properly, but it's a Japanese paper. I think they may have discontinued it or changed the formula anyway. I think you can still get it. It's not super rare yet, but I think it's maybe hard to find a little bit. The original. And a lot of papers, they change the formulations over the years, which is kind of annoying. Come to expect a certain kind of quality and they change it. See which one of my pens is the finest tip. That one is not too bad. Doesn't spread as much, but it's not the thinnest, I don't think. That one's a little bit thinner. So the first one was 0.38. The second one is 0.4, which is ironic. Part of it is how they spread, though, too. Whether they bleed or feather or whatever. I don't like these Pilot Juice pens. I never did, really. When they first came out, they were kind of cool, but they don't write very well. And a lot of the colors dry out. The Pilot Juice Up pens, though, which are newer, are actually pretty good. Like, really good. Okay, so that one is not working very well. That's one of the original Pilot Juice pens that doesn't work too well. Here's a Uniball, which generally write better. Far more consistent. And then, let's see, here is a Zebra Sarasa clip pen. I like these. These are one of my favorites. Might even be a little bit finer than the Uniball. Like it just a little bit. So that one, even though it's a 0.4, it's thinner than the 0.38 one, so you can't really trust the markings necessarily. So this one is 0.3. This is a Pilot Juice Up pen, which is a newer model of the Juice. It should be thinner than the other one. Yeah. It is. That's probably the... Well, it's definitely the thinnest one so far. That one wins. We'll keep this one up as the second. Okay, so this... that one's not going to be anything special. Okay, so here's a 0.28. In theory, it should be the thinnest one of all, but I don't really trust the numbers, honestly. Very similar. I mean, you're talking about 2/100ths of an inch. I mean, 2/100ths of a millimeter difference. So, but yeah, it probably is a little bit thinner than the light blue, or about the same. 0.28 compared to 0.3, it's like almost no difference. These two are kind of tied as the winners, I guess. And I think those are the thinnest ones that I have. Here's another 0.38, which shouldn't be as thin. Nope. Alright, so I think that is kind of definitive for the pens that I have. However, you know, it doesn't mean that's the smallest I can write. It kind of limits me with those kind of pens, but there's also like brush pens that I wanted to try out a little bit, because they have really fine tips on these sometimes. If you can like write with just the end hair on there, you can get super fine, but it's really difficult to do. Plus this particular kind of ink spreads, so even if you had a really fine line, it's gonna just bleed around and feather. Yeah, that's impossible. Guess if you went really fast, you could get some fairly thin lines. But that has a limitation of the ink, not so much the how thin it is. That ink just spreads like crazy. This one's not particularly thin, but on the other end of the same brush, it has, of the same pen, it has a brush. I'm gonna see if I can get anything thinner with this. Yeah, I can get super thin lines with this. The problem is, there's no way I could write with it, I don't think. Unless I cut it just perfectly. There's no way I could make letters with this, I don't think. No. I read that some people, that's how they made their smallest writing possible without using like a computer or something like that. They used like a single hair, but I don't know how you could do that. He's sloppy at best. It just doesn't want to leave any ink behind when it's a single hair. I don't know how you would do that. That has potential though. It's just, that probably has the highest potential, but you'd have to like control your movements, and you'd have to get just the right amount of, or the right length of hair so it's stiff enough that it doesn't flow around sloppily like that. And then also, you'd have to formulate a perfect ink for that. I don't think just any ink would work. Have to be something pretty special. And these are like felt tip pens. I don't think these will be even nearly as fine. Not even close. Yeah, these are huge. And they're still pretty fine. These are the Statler Mars Triplus or Triplus fine liner pens. There's supposedly no way. I don't believe it. It says 0.3 millimeters, but there's no way. They're not even close to as thin as the other ones I was looking at. That's way more than 0.3. It's like almost 0.5. Definitely 0.4 at least. False advertising on those, in my opinion. Of course, if you had just the right paper, you might be able to get a finer line. That's hilarious. So this is the Uniball emote, or emote. I don't know how to say it. It's a fairly new pen. Hasn't been around that long. It's also a felt tip fine liner marker, just like the Triplus, however you say that. But so this pink one says it's 0.4, and it's way thinner than the orange one that says it's 0.3. So that's how useless the advertising can be sometimes. Sometimes different colors behave differently too. Like this green, kind of an olive green, is supposedly the same as that pink one, so you never know. This one doesn't work at all. Here we got the Sharpie pens. I don't remember what measurement they have on these tips. That's pretty big. That's probably a 0.5. I like those though. I've been using those recently. I like how they write. Let's see. Here's a 0.5 to compare it to. Yeah, it's about a 0.5. Maybe even a little bit more. Yeah, so it's pretty clear that among the pens that I have, the thinnest ones are a Uniball, Signo, or Sino, however you say that. It's a 0.28. And the Pilot Juice Up pen at 0.3. And the runner-up to those that kind of tied is the Zebra Sarasa clip, and that's a 0.4, but it totally is thinner than 0.4. That's for sure. See how thin that is? It's like thinner than all the other ones here. That blue one there is really thin though. Anyway, those are some of my thinnest, and so I can't really write any smaller than what would be allowed by these two pens. So let's see how small I can write with this one, which is kind of the smallest one. Not very small, so you can't have very big openings in the letters, because it just swallows up those openings. The faster you write, the less likely it is to kind of feather and bleed. Okay, so there's the whole alphabet in one of those boxes, but it's kind of sloppy and it's hard to read because it's all the openings and the little loops and the letters kind of close in. So yeah, it's really, really hard to read. So the other thing I wanted to try, besides, I don't know if I'm going to bother making a single hair brush. I might. But I have a few little ideas. I have pens, pen holders, and nibs that you can get pretty fine with. I don't know if it'll be as fine or finer, but it's something to try anyway. Okay, so this one right here might be the finest one that I have currently. I could probably buy a finer one, or I might be able to polish it down, kind of sharpen it a little bit. Make it even sharper or finer. Which would be cool. Oh, this ink is very old and probably drying out, so it's probably not the best test. The other thing I was sort of considering testing is comparing the different dip inks that I have. So I have these bottled inks like this, different brands, and some of them might perform better than others. Same problem though, all the loops close in. Yeah, can't really read it. Possibly if I put less ink on the end it might work better. Yeah, that's pretty hard. I don't think that's going to be very successful. Probably the single hair thing is going to be the way to go, but I haven't tried all the dipping inks. There could be a different kind of ink that might work better, but probably not extremely huge difference. Oh. Try this other brand of ink. I think this one's pretty notorious for spreading. This might be kind of interesting to see it spread out. It totally depends on the paper though. This probably is not the ideal paper for this kind of a test. It's a little bit porous. Yeah, see how that spreads out massively. Really juicy though. Yeah, so I need to get a better paper to test some of this stuff. In case you're wondering, this is Rhodia paper, which generally is pretty good for pens, but there are different classes or different kinds of Rhodia paper, so I think it's used to be better too. Like most paper, believe it or not, has gotten worse over time. They made better paper centuries ago than they do now. One of those things that actually devolves, does not get higher tech, and the longer we go, it actually gets worse, much worse. It's mostly about trying to make things cheaper, saving money and making more profit. But it's also about people have forgotten how to make good paper. Some of that information is being lost. Can make some pretty thin lines with that, but I don't think I could write consistently with it. It's the same problem as the other inks. It's just too much fluid. I mean, I can write relatively small, but not like super small. sloppy. I don't think that's the way to go. I originally thought that a dip pen, like a pen holder with a nib in it, and dipping it in ink might give me the smallest results that I'm able to achieve, but at this point I'm thinking not so much. I think the good old steady ballpoint pen might actually be the best, which I don't really have a lot of those because I don't like ballpoint pens. But the other thing I was sort of considering trying is toothpicks, or just something like a toothpick. They got a huge end to them, but I can sharpen it down and see what happens when I dip it in ink. I have to use a special kind of wood, a little bit stronger to hold the point. I'm not sure. Even if I wasn't really thinking of the toothpicks in of themselves, originally I was thinking kind of sharpen them to a point, but then like glue a single hair to the end of them and just use the toothpick as a handle, basically. Stabilizer, so that the hair isn't just like flopping around. I don't know if this is going to really achieve anything trying to sharpen the toothpick. Probably not really. Actually kind of hard to make it any sharper than it is already. It's not very precise. The other thing I could do is use really fine sandpaper to grind it down. Or some, like a Dremel tool, polish it up, whatever. And once I get it wet with ink, it might not hold its shape. It might kind of deform like wet paper. I'm not sure. Might be as sharp as I can get it before it just clips the end off there. I'm just gonna try one random ink, dipping it in it and see what happens. Probably nothing good. I got a few fairly thin strokes out of it, but I wouldn't get it. It's made of wood. It wouldn't work for the long term though. Get some decent results though. It might outperform just like one letter at a time. You'd have to resharpen it and redo something. I guess if you did the same thing to a different material, like maybe, I don't know, maybe some kind of plastic like Teflon or something, it would need to have a little bit of texture to hold the ink on there. I don't know, there might be some potential there. But like others have tried in the past, possibly the most fine result would be to take a single hair and try to draw with that. There's some thick hairs here on this, I think it's like a hog brush. It's really coarse hair. Might just try that real quick. I think I would have to build a brush though, like carefully construct a brush with a single hair at the end of it. Not be arbitrary about it. Super difficult, by the way. Trying to hold a single hair with a pair of tweezers and kind of direct it in a certain way. Not sure it'll work. Need my other tweezers. These ones are not working. All right. Got the hair and the tweezers. I'm just going to try to get a little bit of ink on the end of it and see what happens. Nothing. It doesn't write anything. The ink dried instantly, I guess. Yeah, that would be super difficult. I mean, you can get some pretty fine lines there. Finer than what I was achieving with some of the other ideas, but yeah, that just dries instantly. So you'd have to get a really wet ink that doesn't dry, and a special paper so that it doesn't spread. It's a pretty difficult combination of things to make happen. But I'm sure it's possible. It's just I'm not necessarily trying to break any record, and I'm not going to work super hard at this. It was more just like a fun idea. Just wanted to try stuff. And that may satisfy my curiosity, or I might try a couple different things later on. Maybe do a little bit more research, see what other people have done, see if I can test and have success with the same ideas that they had. Honestly, one of the best ones so far, besides those pretty fine pens, is this pen here, which already has hair on the end of it. If I could get the right kind of ink on a pen like this, I could get super fine lines. I would just have to cut off that hair so it's not trailing around in like a loop. I'm trying to make letters, because then it just makes a wide thing when it's making a weird loop. Anyway, interesting ideas. I don't know how I don't think I'm going to pursue it further. It feels kind of silly to me, but it was a fun experiment, and I'm satisfied with my results of getting pretty small writing. Not tiny, but probably won't go out of my way to review this whole thing that I wrote here, but it's small enough. I could go smaller for sure. I wasn't really trying to do as small as I possibly could. It's more about doing a relaxed writing so I don't have to stress about it. But I easily get 2 lines. Like I started up here at the top, pretty big, just relaxed 2 lines per grid. And it looks like I could fit about 3 at that size, probably, if I really squished them. And then as I got farther down, some of these lines are a little bit smaller. Probably that green is one of the smaller ones, and then this sky blue looking thing here is pretty small as well. But I could definitely do smaller, but that's a reasonable limit too. Can't go a lot smaller with these inks just because they close in all the holes in the O's and the P's and the D's and A's and all that. Then you can't really read it. So not a whole lot smaller. Anyway, it's kind of fun. I'm probably going to do more of these writing stuff out streams. Not necessarily about how big it is or anything, or how small the writing is. I'm not going to focus on that at all. I'll just write out stuff. So yeah, we will probably do more of that, mainly just because I've been wanting to write out scripture, and I figure I might do some of it on stream. I'm not going to do all of it on stream though. So yeah. Anyway, let's see, how long are we? We've gone over 2 hours already, so I think I'll probably end the stream here. And yeah, I don't know if I'll come back on or not. Probably not. But I may decide to come back and do a little bit of bookbinding tonight, but I'm pretty tired. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I might just go to bed. So I'll see. Wish I could show easily the whole thing that I wrote, and you could kind of get an idea of what size it is. I can put it up here, but super dark up there, and it's not focused because I have it on manual focus on my camera up there. Anyway, you can kind of see my fingers here and how big the text is at a distance. Definitely a lot smaller than most people write. Guess I could put a coin for comparison as well, just for fun. Yeah, let's compare compare it to that Liberty text there on a penny. So the height of my letters is not too much bigger than that there. And then these are some of this, maybe those aren't the smallest, but yeah, almost as small as the Liberty text, not quite. Maybe about the size of that 2021 there's about how big I was writing, approximately. Yeah, it's a little bit closer. I cut my little heads and tails off the, I don't remember what the technical typography term for those trailers or whatever, those things on the top and the bottom. I cut those a little bit shorter. It would be about the same size as the 2021 there. Anyway, I think I will call it good and head out for the night. So thanks for joining me. My silly experiments with writing, a little bit of Bible writing. So I will catch y'all next time.